You could potentially be the first lady, her mother giggled lightly as if she was simply discussing the weather. Ina was glad she wasn't drinking or eating anything else. It would have ended up as spitting take on the nearby wall. Knowing her mother was just being normal, gossip and joking herself to match her obvious fumble and stained knees, cheeks. She went with what was obviously wrong with that statement. Mom, I'm not a gold digger, she cried, but her mom just giggled. I was just joking, dear. Anyways, if you don't mind deciding to date anyone of those boys, you know, this amazing young man that works with your father. He would, as her mother started to bevering about setting her up on a date with a friend of hers father, son, Ina could bring herself to listen as her mind started to wandering again. She knew her mother suspected nothing and was just joking around with her as usual, like they've had this conversation before, right? And she never gotten frustrated about it. What was different now? Nara particularly ripped off the Ambu mask and flopped down on the couch inside the Hokage's office, like he's owned the place. He didn't do much at the meeting. Hell, all he did was stand and not say a thing, but listening to those unknowledgeable geezers made him feel like he's aged 10 years. But the time I'm Hokage, I hope at least half of those bastards are out of the office by then. I can't stand them. You're all such arrogant, hard-headed, obnoxious, fastics, old-time assholes. Tsunade finished, immediately pulling out a bottle of sake from gold knows where. She probably has a secret stash as she sat down at her desk. Yes, it's not even about being discreet, discreet at all. All of her choices can't be great for the village. You're 100% right on that, which is why I could never have a peaceful meeting with them. Instead, debating or whether, like, I'm not trial just for make a few sample decisions for the sake of the village. She mumbles angrily, pouring herself a glass, mentioning the bottle to both Kakashi and Naruto, but they slightly turned it down. More for me. Naruto stared at her a minute before speaking again, a tired smirk on his face. Should I threaten and to a quote tie them up by starting on a white old man beard till they agree with me? Tsunade looked almost tough, thought as if she was literally considering Naruto's threat. The village elder, nah, you probably shouldn't. At least not right now, anyways. Right? Right. The two blondes into a mumbled silence, thinking over the happening of the meeting before Kakashi clearly his throat. There's attention swifting to him. Lady Tsunade, didn't you have something to talk to Naruto? Tsunade stared at Kakashi, then at the blonde, would give her the answer, but she quickly regained herself a bit, clicked her tongue, and embraced. All right, right. She put down the sake glass as her demeanor turned serious. Naruto, we needed to talk about the child. Naruto stiffed in annoyance. He can't believe they were trying to push him again. Haru, he growled out. Tsunade sensed his sudden hostility, but seems unfazed. Yes, Haru, anyways, whatever you're going to say, I refuse. I already told you. Ino and I aren't giving him up, and you even made a deal with us. Time not up. You're basically going back on your word? For God's sake, Brat, calm down. I'm not going back on my word, Tsunade interrupted loudly, but held down not the venom. Naruto blinked. Oh, just hear us out, Naruto, Kakashi said. From behind him, Naruto wanted to curl into himself for getting too heated up, but he still felt like something was amiss, so he sustained himself up, meeting Tsunade's eyes. What do you want to talk about? Tsunade sighed before turning to Kakashi. It's best we explain everything at once. Kakashi let her in. The Kapi ninja nodded once before heading out the door, returning a few seconds later with a small raven-head woman dressed in a nurse uniform. Naruto, this is our Dr. Shinbu, Tsunade began. She gonna help us with the child? Haru rooped. My, this is Dr. Shinbu, Tsunade began. She's gonna help us finding the child's Haru roots. Find his roots? Why? I already told you, both his parents are dead and his mother had no family. No family that you know of? Besides, the point, he's my responsibility now. I made a promise and I intend to keep it. Why do you want to get rid of him so badly? Naruto, calm down. This isn't what you think. This is just for a precaution. Precaution for what? He's a baby. He's not a dangerous. Tsunade felt veins twitch on her forehead. Her patience waned. She reclaimed the older blonde for being so protection and deciding to the safety and care of the child. If he wasn't being frisky, loud, and aggressive, thought she couldn't be completely mad because they both knew that she had another motive. For God's sake, Brad, calm the hell down and listen to me. Naruto zipped his mouth and sat back down, but his defiant glare didn't waver. As soon as Tsunade gagged he was gonna be at least quiet for now. She sat down back down and spoke. Good, as I was saying, this is precaution for you and Ino, the baby. Naruto glared slightly softened but remained his eyes borrowed raised slightly as if asking her explanation, which she did. Has it never crossed your mind how weird it is Haru resembles both you and Ino so much when he isn't even yours? Well, or has the mysterious death of his mother, who even killed her, the fire in Naruto dimmed a bit as he considered the question. Question that, of course, he thought about many times but brushed them off as there wasn't much he could do about it. Plus, Haru was there now. He was entrusted to them, so he figured it didn't matter. I have, but he tried to say, but his voice died in his throat. He had a bad feeling about all of this. Tsunade didn't bother letting him finish. As she called forth the doctor, the woman offered a small smile, but he just nodded slowly. So, what do you want? He asked, having no choice but to give in for now. All you can gather his data, and I doubt and hope you're not gonna go snooping around a dead woman's corpse. Of course not, Tsunade huffed, waving her hand towards the doctor. signaling her to explain instead. Leave has many different data recording from multiple people, significant clans, so you can track down his clan. Yes, as well as other things. We would also like for you and Eno to tell us what happened about your interaction with his mother, and this time in great details. Not to remain silent for a moment, frown on his face, and if you don't find any, then what? There's three older ninjas in the room, shared a look before Tsunade broke the silence. We still, we still will have some precautions. Precautions? You keep talking about precautions like Haru is in danger. Like he's some kind of foreign spy. So what? Do you think he's a clone or a robot or something? The doctor laughed almost robotically. No, of course not. If he's either of those, we will already have noticed. He's a baby. You've been clean, fed, and washed him correctly. You would have noticed also the baby have a certain character signature. It would be hard to mask and mimic that if he was a clone or she explained matters effectively ignoring the mock of the to be of his question. Anyways, Tsunade continued after being interrupted. Protections will be put on place based on what we don't or do find, but I guess we'll just continue as normal if not much is found. The younger blonde was quiet for a moment. When do you want to do this? Stated Tsunade answered, immediately as soon as possible. We were hoping first thing tomorrow we can come to you. I see. Naruto stood up and does things in particular. I'm off. Then I'll see you tomorrow? His voice was unreadable, and before anyone could say another word, he was out of the door. The remaining adults in the room were silent. Before Kakashi breathed a sigh. He felt like he was unconscious, holding in. The went better than I expected, I guess. Are you sure you don't want to stay and dinner, sweetie? Miss Yamanaka asked yet again, with the question being more of pleading request. But Ino just politely declined. Sorry, Mom, but I have some stuff to do at home, and I just wanted to pick up some stuff here. Maybe next time. Ino's mother just watched frontly at Ino, nodded in somber understanding Eno moving out quietly a while ago, but it never really felt like she did. Her apartment was kind of empty, and most of her stuff was still here, including her still coming home for dinner and sleeping in her old room. But they weren't complaining at all. They loved having her little girl around, but it's really beginning to sink in that their little bird wasn't in the nest anymore. Maybe Eno got more accustomed to her apartment, more, who knows. Eno just suddenly seemed more busy, more mature, more private. Not that there was anything wrong with that. They were proud of her. Either way, as long as she was happy, they were happy. Though it did sit a bit as Yamanaka watched her daughter gather more of her stuff from her room. Even the TV she hard ever touched the place into the box to carry to her apartment, making her childhood better. Yamanaka soon appeared at the door and peeked into the room. You need anything help carrying that into your apartment? He he offered to Eno, and it was fine, still throwing stuff into the box. Soon Eno was out of the door and giant box in her hand, but she didn't seem to struggle at it with it. Her parents seeing her off with a smile. This was okay. She was their little girl. Wherever she lived, Mr. Yamanaka smiled. At least she's an independent woman with her own place and not moving in with some boy, Mr. Yamanaka thought, still waving to his daughter. Considering her were full, Ino gave her parents a big smile with exhausted I love you as she further away from her parents' house. Her mind still a bit just enjoying the cool evening air and breeze. Her eyes fell into the bright light in her hands, and the box unable to close the stuff. Maybe too much things in it. The weight was no problem. She was strong as F. She just she just hopes that the box itself serves till she gets home. Scans over the object she thought she might have gone overboard. Originally, she just wanted to pick up some books and a few accessories and the TV, but she might have took a bit more than she necessarily. She giggled to herself. Then she turned to the thing, the object right on top of the pile. She didn't, but her mother instant, insisted she take some food along, and of course she even no more than she herself was comfortable eating by herself, and would usually have leftovers, but this time it was okay. She at least had someone to share with. Dark figure ne- ne- negated, negated itself through the trees before landing at the mouth of the cave. Upon entering the cave, a figure walked for a unique a while before coming to a large stone door. Pushing the door open, he entered a vault room, completely lit by the firewall of the room. The dark figure then stopped at the crater of the room. He removed his hood, getting down on one knee. He removed bow to the other figure in front of him. Well, his deep voice echoed through the room. He sat on the top of a stone throne, like a seat. What have you reported? The Neo man spoke without raising his head. The wife of the man we eliminated successfully got rid of her as well, but it seems she had a child, and we believe it's still alive. The figure hummed. I see this whole plain, plain a lie on getting rid of the entire clan, so we can't have that, can we? No, sir. Then this is your loose, and you work on tracking that child? Yes, sir. Apologize, sir. As the figure left the room, the man on the throne turned to the side of him. Another figure lurked in the shadow. Coming, sir. Sentazuki will be busy. I want you to continue searching for the other survivors of that clan. And, well, you know what to do. I still wish, my lord. Well, shit. When Ino arrived home, the atmosphere wasn't as calm as she thought it would be. Naruto was sitting stiffly on the couch, seemingly deep in thought, though his face did seem to soften a bit as she walked in. Hey, he called softly. Hey, I answered back, seating the box on a chair. I take Karus asleep? How was your day? Yeah, he's asleep, but he paused, scratching his cheek, suggesting to answer the second part of the question. I had a small mission today. Oh, how? That was fine. Just simple observation mission. And don't worry, I got Hinata to watch Haru. That's good, but you seem worried. Naruto pressed his lip into thin line. I think you should sit down. After Naruto explaining the last night, I have been feeling really on edge, and even more as I sat down in the Hokage's office, Haru resting peacefully on in her arms. She nor Naruto didn't have the time to ask questions as the Hokage entered, reintroduced Ryoshi Kage, as urged them to begin. Her voice boomed, but even alright, first we'll like to two of you to tell us everything about what happened to that day. Describe everything. Do not leave a single detail. So they did. While they did, Mr. Yoshikage had already taken some blood samples from all of them. 3. Haru small cries from the shot long quiet down. The two ninjas finishing their explanation waiting for Tsunade to say something, but there wasn't much to say. Dr. Yoshikage told them since they were running the child blood by not theirs, but many different bloodlines of clans as much as the leaf, it could take a while, a whole day maybe, so they had no choice but to leave. Tsunade insisted she share her theories, but about what they told her when they had the results, so they left. Tsunade sent for them early next day. Haru snuggled into Naruto's today. As they sat down, both blondes quietly but sending each other's signals, glance ever so often before Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Susune, and Dr. Yoshikage all settled in the room. It felt like almost looked at a court hearing and defending silence, filling the room. Would you like some tea? Tsunade began, but was cut off by an angry but nervous look of Naruto that looked like he'd rather fight Madara than hear. Please, just cut the chase. You found something, didn't you? You look like you have it bad. Calm down, boy. Tsunade barked with no bite. When she decided to pour the tea herself, sending Suzune a glance, who was returned the look that said you better drink the tea and not pull out the bottle of sake. It's 7 in the morning, for God's sake, woman. Rolling her eyes at their most telepathic conversation, she sipped on a tea and sighed. It's not bad, just shocking is all. Though I did have a theory. You mean my theory? Kakashi picked up from the back of the room, looking a little too laid back. But Tsunade just pretended to ignore him. Anyway, we had a theory and it just happened to be right, which is not to press. Well, he isn't yours, the Hokage started, only to give a long pause, and if giving them a conversation, the information as if they didn't know that already. Both blonde gave unimpressed looked. Ino speak up, partly forgiving she was in an office. They're three of the most powerful and authoritative shinobi in the Leaf. We already said and knew that. How is that news? Naruto nodded, looked about ready to say his own piece. Ignoring the two blondes' shift mood, she becked on Dr. Yoshikage forward. She pulled out two files on marked Yamanaka and one marked Uzumaki. They leaned over, looking curiously at the list. Mostly names one of the Yamanaka list familiar to Ino. Her own name, mother and father. There is while